Buddy, good morning. Good morning. It is 8 o'clock on the dot. Rise and shine, rise and shine. This is Coffee Talk. Let me see if I can get the lighting a little better, maybe. Sitting at the old desk here. Okay, maybe that works. All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm WESH 2 First Warning Meteorologist Eric Burris. This is Coffee Talk. We get together 7 days a week, chat about what's going on in the world of weather. I'm here at the National Hurricane Conference, which, of course, is in New Orleans, Louisiana. We're going to be talking all about the events here at the conference, drinking some wonderful coffee. This is PJ's Coffee of New Orleans. That's how you know it's good. And I got to tell you, hotel room coffee isn't so bad. I had American Airlines onboard coffee yesterday, so there's that. Anyway, we'll talk about the hurricane conference in a little bit. First, let's look outside, just see what's doing on our Tower Cam network back home. Look how pretty that is. Tourist district sitting in the 60s. Daytona Beach, oh man, it is gorgeous. 60 degrees for you, 63 in Leesburg, and about 64 at the Kennedy Space Center. So area wide, we are looking absolutely beautiful. First warning, live Doppler radar scanning the skies, completely clean sweep. There are those temperatures though. Look how nice that is, right? It's 62, 63 degrees, feeling good in the neighborhood. With the clear skies, you know it's going to be a gorgeous midday. And as a matter of fact, the forecast through the day today continues with this. Look how pretty that is. 81 degrees, our 1 o'clock temperature. We're to 85 degrees by 3 o'clock. Nothing but sunshine. So whatever we've got going on today, we've got it. We've got it. It's going to be a wonderful day for us around Central Florida. This afternoon's high temperatures. I want to draw a couple of points of note here. First off, average high has now climbed to 84 degrees. So there's that forecast really putting us around or even slightly above that average high. We're sitting at 85 in Orlando, 84 degrees today in the Villages. Along the shoreline, even into the 80s. West winds, a little maybe gusty at times, right? 84, 85. It's a very nice forecast for today. It's going to be a beautiful stretch of weather, as a matter of fact. So let's dial in here first off, okay? Central Florida's certified most accurate 7-day forecast, showing things beautiful through the next couple of days, right? Hanging out in the 80s, 85 though on Saturday, 89 on Sunday, 91 on Monday. Yeah, we've got some heat building. And of course, we know Sunday is Easter Sunday. So for all your plans, that's where it is. Now, for those of you that follow the long range forecasting pattern with us, we know that there was the recycle of that tornado that struck a couple of weeks ago. That's coming up this weekend into early next week. How much of a storm system does it end up being? Remember, we're transitioning from that spring pattern, working toward a summer pattern. So it may not be much this time around, but we're definitely in those days going to be watching for an area of low pressure trying to develop, perhaps just north of our area. So you can see on the 7-day forecast there, nothing significant for us along the coastline. Happy to say your forecast looking equally as nice. Temperatures maybe not as warm. I don't see 90s on your coastal 7-day forecast map, but it's getting warmer still, right? By Monday, it's 85 along the coast, whereas our inland spots, Monday's high temperature gets to be 91 degrees. So that's also why we're doing the coastal versus inland 7-day forecast. So there we are. All right. So before we move on, questions, comments, concerns about this. How we doing? Kara on YouTube says, enjoying the morning temperatures so much, hanging on to them as long as I can until the humidity hits. And we know, right? We know that that is going to eventually happen to us. We know that spring only lasts so long. We know that summer heat is going to just come and slam us in the head here in the not so distant future. So that's why, yeah, I would highly encourage all of us to savor that flavor. So please remember that. And for those of you that don't like for those of you that like the warmer weather, myself included, um, it's coming. It's coming. Yeah. All right. That's pretty good coffee, I gotta be honest with you. For those of you that know New Orleans PJs? That's that. I am not sponsored by them at all. I gotta, but PJ's coffee's pretty good. May have to go see where their little locations are and go walk to a location. Let's see here. Emily, love this forecast over on YouTube. Emily, I couldn't agree with you more. Orlando Mikey on X says first love bug sighting was yesterday. Dude, seriously? Mid-April? Oh crap, it's tax day. Y'all ready with that? Everybody good? Oliver says, been grateful for the temps. AC in my car needs a recharge and have an appointment tomorrow to fix it. Well, and at the very least, we know that, this forecast is going to support comfortable stuff. Now, the afternoon is going to be warm. You're not going to get around that. Now, let's look here. I'm going to load up. These are the GFS numbers, okay? So GFS temperatures for the next couple of days. Let's just peek in, all right? So really big heat looking ahead to like the 20th and the 21st. Yeah. Now, always whenever you look at the GFS numbers, always remember that the very end of it, you can't really trust it. Don't go too deep into that. 75 for a high. Don't do that. But look, 96 on April 21st. I don't know that I'd go that far, but there it is. Diane says our area is extended for tax deadline due to hurricanes May 1st, but yeah, it's tax day. Is it? Are we? Did I rush my taxes for no reason? Tiffany says excellent biking weather. You see what's coming though. You see that. We see that, right? Ooh, summer. Okay, good times. All right, so there's the computer models in terms of temperatures. Let's look at the computer models in terms of high pressure, low pressure. Let's get an idea what's to come, storm system, etc., 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 vis-a-vis, etc., etc. All right. So, high pressure's in control. We know that. It is gorgeous outside. High pressure. Look at that. High pressure builds Friday. Makes perfect sense. It's going to be hot this weekend. We know that. There's your compressional heating event there on Saturday. That high pressure ridge really builds over top of us. Judy asks, I have a dumb question. Do all these rockets have anything to do with the crazy weather? Talking emissions versus a car. No, because rockets burn, for the most part, rockets burn clean compared to cars. Oh my God, Tammy. PSA, if you're heading out to the theme parks, please do not forget to use deodorant. There's apparently a growing number of people that don't wear deodorant. I put on, am I the only? Okay, pause for a second because ADHD. So maybe this isn't healthy. I put deodorant on, obviously, but like there's sometimes where like I'll put it on my chest. Is that bad? And like on my lower back, is that a bad admission? Should I be embarrassed to admit this? I'll do that so that for the antiperspirant part, but like, is that bad? Diane says squirrel. I don't know that that's healthy to do, but and I smell fresh. Is that bad? Anyway, high pressure moving out. You guys got me all. What's going on there? Look at that little area of low pressure bubbling up over Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi. So that is that next storm system kind of moving through, bringing some rain in on Tuesday. Chris says, if you sweat there. Katie says, no, that's what it's also for. You're using it right. Orlando Mikey says, Mando, the best deodorant ever. You can literally put it anywhere. But am I not supposed to use my regular deodorant like on my chest or my back? You know what I mean? Like, is it not designed for that? That's I guess where I'm at. You know what I mean? I don't know. Evelyn says, no, I put it in different parts also. Okay, all right. Cindy says, nope, not bad. In fact, they make full body deodorant now for that reason. But if I'm not using full body deodorant, should I worry? Bruce says, I would never put it anywhere but the pits. See, that's the thing. Should I worry that I'm doing that? If there's chemicals, maybe. I'm sure there's chemicals. This stuff, you know. Ah, welcome to the fort. Thank you, Matt. Thank you. Oh, man. Watch what your skin absorbs. See, that's the thing. I would worry a bit if it's aluminum based. See, I don't even know if it is. My nurse daughter says no worries, Chris says. It's usually women who need to be careful where you put it when it comes to deodorant. If you aren't putting it in sensitive bits, you're good. Katie says, oh, I mean, my chest or my back, my shoulder, and my. Anyway, can we get back to the weather? Y'all, it's your fault. All right, so little storm system coming in the 22nd, 23rd. Doesn't look like it's going to have a bunch of atmospheric energy. My brother Frank says, well, when someone's as hairy as you, they should put it at. Thank you, Frank. I don't even know what to say. Oh, God. All right, storm system. So it looks like our next opportunity for like decent rains is going to be the 22nd, 23rd. There's a front. Now, that front will have an area of low pressure nearby. So that's probably the along with tornado part of the pattern, just slowing down because of atmospheric change and seasonal adjustment. But it looks like a decent little chance of rain for a little while. Pressures are lowering in the Caribbean. Interesting. Around May the 1st. About every other year we get a tropical system in May. Is it possible we end up with one this year? Yeah, it's possible. So there you go. Tara says, love going off the rails anyway. I'm going to blame all of you for this. Allison, that went sideways quickly. Jeez Louise. Y'all have some Yeti in the family tree, Oliver says. It's way too early for you guys to beat up on each other or me that way. Renee says this is a funny crowd. Renee, it keeps us coming back day after day, year after year. There's got to be something here. It's not my boyish charm. That I can promise you. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the hurricane conference. Okay. So yesterday was fantastic. We are 47 days away from the official start of hurricane season. Now, a couple things right off the bat. I don't know if I shared this with you. So a while ago, I printed up the schedule for the conference and I highlighted, because that's what we do. I highlighted the courses that I was looking forward to auditing. And included in the courses were yesterday's general session. And yesterday's general session was just incredible. Just incredible. Just loved it. But a lot of these other sessions were great. For example, the session I was super excited about, evacuation planning workshop, the future of hurricane evacuation studies, canceled. I'd say half of the classes that I was looking forward to going to canceled. This is the updated list. Now, good classes, and I've got to hand it to John Wilson and the team with the Governor's Hurricane Conference. They put together a heavily modified conference. So, why? What changed? Well, and this is not a political thing. So before I go into this, I need everybody to understand I'm not here to talk politics. I will always take the Dolly Parton mentality of politics. You don't care my politics. I don't care your politics. None of us want to talk about it. A lot of speakers didn't come. They weren't able to come. Why were they not able to come? Well, among other things, the government is not authorizing travel in many ways. Another example, There, I don't think I'm wrong to this. There is not one person from the National Hurricane Center here at the National Hurricane Conference. So, the folks had to do some pivoting, and I'm not saying that this is not a worthy conference because quite the opposite. This has been fantastic. Um, the topics have been amazing. So let's just start off with who spoke a little bit. Okay, um, we heard from Craig Fugate yesterday, who, if you're familiar, Craig Fugate was the director of the Florida Department of Emergency Management. He then went on to lead FEMA for a while, and I took some notes because here we are. So interesting. So a couple of things from Craig Fugate. Okay, um, the big topic of conversation for this year's National Hurricane Conference is Katrina 20 years later. We're in the city, right? That was devastated 20 years ago. So Craig Fugate was talking, and he's retired from FEMA, so he doesn't have a dog in the hunt, so to speak. Um, he now works in the private sector. So the first few things he said, which really was speaking a lot to the Florida Department of Emergency Management, or the Florida Division of Emergency Management, is that the first few weeks, water, ice, fuel in Katrina's response came from Florida. Did you know that? And moreover, when Florida had had such an effective supply chain from dealing with hurricanes, and it was a fairly quiet season, quiet chapter, if you recall. But post Hurricane Andrew, Florida really established a machine that at the time was unrivaled. I would like to believe it still is. But so in 2004, 2000, 2005, so '04, Florida, obviously got kerslammed. '05, Katrina goes in. And so Florida was there, and Florida had the supply chain to continue to add. So that's '05. When Craig Fugate joined FEMA in 2009, the federal government was still paying Florida back for the Hurricane Katrina response. How about that? Craig Fugate started that response on the Florida side and then ended up joining FEMA as their director, still paying Florida back. I thought that I was shocked by that. So there's that. Um, just a fascinating story, and he shared a lot of the inner workings. Then Kevin Guthrie took the stage, and if you're unfamiliar, Kevin Guthrie jokes that he always has followed up Craig Fugate. Kevin Guthrie runs the Florida Division of Emergency Management, and he shared a lot about his mentality, right, for leading through hurricanes and things like that. His mentality, and I can't say that I can't say that I disagree with him. His first thing he said is you can solve 99% of the problems if you get the power back on. Isn't that the truth? I thought that was pretty great. He also mentioned, and follow me here. Raise your hand in the room if you were here. Well, I say here, I'm in Louisiana. Raise your hand in the room if you were in Florida, in Central Florida even, or in Florida during Hurricane Wilma, because he said that the Florida Division of Emergency Management just closed out Wilma's long-term recovery. What? I would be so interested to just hear more about that. You know, he went on to say, whatever's ahead, a future with or without FEMA, Florida will be ready and will act proactively. He was very, very strong on that. And then Cameron Hamilton, who is the senior official performing the duty of FEMA administrator, said that he believes in the FEMA mission, but that the work is truly to help people in their darkest days. And he went on to say, and this is kind of an interesting thing, and again, without getting into any kind of politics, because we don't do that. He said, 20 years ago, FEMA was at a pivotal time for the agency, and once again, there's a mandate for that change. There has been some discussion as to the future of FEMA on a federal level. And so, of course, you can tell there's an air of uncertainty here at the National Hurricane Conference. You can tell that there's curiosity what lies ahead. You can tell that everybody is all of the emergency managers are trying to just hear and see what direction the wind's going to blow, trying to understand what it's going to mean for them and their communities because they are responsible for helping their communities. So I thought that that was all very, very interesting stuff. Then I got into a course, the afternoon session was fantastic. Hurricane History Meteorology Workshop, the meteorology and forecasting of Katrina and the catastrophic 2005 hurricane season. That was my afternoon session, led by Phil Klotzbach, which can I just say, we've had Phil Klotzbach on Coffee Talk before, many times at this point. He's fantastic. I see where anytime that we have worked with him, he's trying to broadcast. Yesterday was the first time that I saw Phil as Professor Phil, as Professor Phil Klotzbach. He's good. Y'all, I got to be honest. Next time we get him on Coffee Talk, I don't know that I even want to talk about his long range forecast. I want to talk about um, something that he had alluded to yesterday that I want to dive deeper into. He is proposing a new hurricane scale. He alluded to it yesterday. I want to get him back on Coffee Talk to discuss this because it's fascinating. And moreover, I feel like when he's doing his hurricane season forecast stuff, it's not that it's canned, but he's trying to. I don't want him to broadcast, and I feel like maybe I need to get him out of that idea. I need to get him to be a professor. He's so good, and so that course yesterday was fantastic. So there's a lot of really good courses today. I think probably the one I'm most interested in is From Recovery to Reform, FEMA Policy Evolution in the 20 years since Katrina. That's definitely one that I'm interested in. So we'll see. We'll see. I think I'm going to talk to Phil on the air today about his new hurricane scale. Barb's asking, Tim's asking, everyone's asking about Cat 6. No, not Cat 6. But his whole idea, hold on, let me find it. Stand by. Okay. His whole idea, I think it's fascinating, was a new hurricane categorization scale. Okay. Of course, this is terrible, but the idea here is based on pressure. So, based on what you're seeing there, so let's just talk about this. The idea was, why was Katrina a category 3 so much more intense, so to speak, than Charlie, a category 4? And it got into wind on the Saffir-Simpson scale is only, is not as correlating as pressure. Katrina with a 920 pressure was stronger, so to speak, in breath, impact, etc., than Charlie 941 hectopascals or millibars. And they were both quite terrible storms. I mean, don't get me wrong. But the idea is damage more directly correlates with pressure. Fatalities more directly correlate with pressure. So it was a very short jaunt, but one I really need to hear more from. So that I'm hoping to talk to Dr. Klotzbach about it today. Chris, I would fully suspect that there is not a Cat 6 in the works, even on his scale. So anyway, and then last but not least, yesterday at the general session, the one other thing that I thought was particularly fascinating, Margaret Orr has been a friend of mine for years. She is the chief meteorologist emeritus at WDSU here in Louisiana, my sister station. I'm going to spend the day with her on Thursday. She's going to take me around, but other than that, the perhaps most interesting thing was yesterday at the general session, she told her Katrina story. And I sat there and I thought, I've known this woman for 15 years and I've never heard her Katrina story. We've like briefly chatted about it, but I've never heard her Katrina story. So to that point, and I mean, the woman up there basically says she doesn't like talking about Katrina. So it makes sense. I'm not the kind of guy I'm not a pry. I don't bring that up. But as she's sharing her story, I understand why she doesn't like talk about it. But it was incredible. So anyway, that's where we're at. Can you tape an interview with her to show on Coffee Talk? What? Yeah, but also I could just grab her at some point maybe and do it live. The only time that I don't want to bother her, and I'll put up the 7-day forecast. The only time I don't want to bother her is when she's being grandma. But it's what is it? It's 7:27 here Central Time. She's not gonna be grandma at 7:20. Maybe she will, but I'm sure we could get her live at some point. She's good like that. So that's kind of the highlights from day one. Things we're looking forward to day two. My executive producer Wesh is already texting. And the day of the day, whatever works best for WDSU. More than likely be for me. Okay. All right. All right. Questions, comments, concerns? Anything at all? Basically, what they do with tornadoes, it all goes to the damage scale. Right. Well, damage with a hurricane is just such a different thing. Right. Renee got to do some weeding. I'm out here. Go. Be good. Have fun. Kara says, would love to hear her story as well. It's deep. It's deep. Yeah. And then, of course, my mentor, meteorologist, is here. He and I wore the same flipping outfit yesterday. We were walking around looking like a cute little couple. It was so funny. We had almost the exact same shirt on. Good gravy. Sometimes you can't even. So yeah, it was good. Where I don't even know where we ate yesterday. It was someplace great. I got a cheeseburger, had half of it. I'm not a seafood guy, so anyway, there's more fun. Evelyn, have you seen Jeremy there? He's not here. He's not here. Yeah, they didn't have anybody to fill in back in Savannah. So, oh well. All right. You good? We good? All right. Listen, be the sunshine in someone else's day. Thank you. Enjoy. Enjoy your great day. I'm going to go